All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Quick video here. Another Royals video, off the cuff, as I guess I've now decided that's what I'm going to name these Royals videos, since I don't do any prep for these other than just thinking about them. Mainly because I'm doing them usually while the phone sits in my console while I drive to work. Only about 10 minutes here on this video. I'm going to make it somewhat short. I want to talk about the game last night. The Royals lose 6-1 to the Texas Rangers. That's Nicky Lopez's second game. Lopez got his first Major League double. Scored another run. That was the only run the Royals scored in the first inning, and they were shut down the rest of the way. So they did have a lot of hits. They had a lot of base runners last night. Just couldn't find that big hit. Hunter Dozier hit into a little bit of a tough luck, especially in the first inning when he hit an absolute rocket that was speared by the third baseman. I think it was like 112 miles per hour exit velocity off the bat. So, again, resulted in an out. It looks like a pop-up in the box score, but Hunter Dozier is not missing pitches, and his swing is much more compact. It's much shorter. It's not as long as it was last year. He is really turned a corner. He's turned a corner kind of like what I saw from Mike Moustakas from 2014 to 2015. You know, the 14 playoffs, Moose kind of ran into some pitches, and he hit 5 home runs in the playoffs that year, which was great. But, you know, he still struggled overall, and he struggled in 14, but he made a commitment, you know, in the offseason to get better, to shorten his swing, take the ball the other way more. And, you know, that was, you know, the rest is history, obviously, as I think he was like 10th in MVP voting that year. And was obviously an all-star. But anyway, this is not about Mike Moustakas. So let's talk about the pitching last night. Jorge Lopez, again, another loss. Jeffrey Flanagan tweeted out last night that, you know, he was only 1 out away from a quality start, which, until he gave up a 2-run homer, I thought he had given up 4 runs at that point. Maybe he'd only given up 3. But look, a quality start is you allow 3 runs over 6 innings. I still don't think that's super quality. I mean, I understand if you allow the other team to score 3 runs in 6 innings, you put yourself in a position to win. That ERA is still 4.50, which is, it's on the upper end of what you don't want, or it's on the lower end of what you don't want, but it's still, you don't want an ERA over 4.5. So, again, put everything in perspective. The Royals' offense was an issue last night, but Jorge Lopez, this is a guy that the Royals got last year in the Mike Moustakas trade. He showed some flashes last year, especially in the near perfect game that he pitched. He got, 8 1/3 perfect innings, and then he allowed a hit, and then another hit, and they not only lost the perfect game and no hitter, but he lost the shutout too. The Royals still won that game, but Lopez has been a mystery, and he has not pitched well this year. Who has pitched well this year down in Wilmington are the 2018 draft class, including Daniel Lynch, who was absolutely superb yesterday. Threw 7 innings of 2 hit ball, no runs, struck out 8 or 9. I think it was 9. Just a dominating performance, you know. And he's 22, pushing 23. Singer, Lynch, Coar, these guys are going to be up before you know it. These guys are ready. They've pitched very well so far this year, and I know they're only an A-ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they get moved up to Double-A here in the next few weeks, because they're obviously way over. They're overmatching and just overpowering guys at the A-ball level, and that's advanced A-ball. It's high A-ball, Wilmington. So that's where all your top prospects usually are in all the systems. So what do you do with Lopez? Lopez has not been good. Do you keep running him out there? I tend to think that the Ned and Dayton are going to do that. Not exactly sure what other options that the Royals have. There's not. I mean, I guess you could put Glenn Sparkman in the rotation. There's been some talk about putting Scott Barlow in the rotation. I think he loses some effectiveness, though, if he goes into the starting rotation. Just because, similar to the Wade Davis effect. Now, that being said, we've never seen Scott Barlow as a starter. So it'll be interesting to see. I really think what the Royals should do for their starting rotation going forward, look, this season, they're not going to make the playoffs, obviously. It's time that the Royals start kind of experimenting and tinkering with their lineup and their rotation. I would not be opposed to them going to the opener. Going to like a Barlow and a Dykman, or Diekman, however you say his name. Both guys have been really good lately, and Kennedy has been really good. Those three guys have been pretty solid over the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season so far. Let's have a situation where we start the game off with them. The Royals starters are usually pretty good the first time through the lineup. Now, I know Lopez gave up a home run in the first inning last night, but it did settle down, and then it fell apart for him in the 6th. So if you can get 2 innings, 2, maybe 3 innings out of, at the beginning of the game, then you can bring in your starter in the 4th inning, 3rd, 4th inning, and let him go 3 or 4 innings, only going through the lineup once, maybe twice. You might find that the Royals are consistently, only giving up 2, maybe 3 runs by the 7th inning. And with the Royals offense, which is one of the better offenses in the American League, they're in the top 3rd. They're scoring lots of runs. Now, they're somewhat inconsistent, obviously, but every offense is going to have an off night. I wouldn't be opposed to them going to the opener model. I think it's something that Ned and Dayton really need to look at. Now, Ned is very old school. Will he do that? I'm going to say probably not. But it's something I really think the Royals should look into. Now, when we talk about Nicky Lopez's addition to the lineup, he's gotten a hit in each of his first 2 games. He's drawn a couple walks, which is what he does. Nicky Lopez, I'm excited to see what he does. He doesn't have a lot of power, and that might come as he gets older, but he's a gap-to-gap type of hitter, and that's perfect. That's a perfect type of player for the Royals in their stadium. And also knowing that he's kind of an anti-traditional Kansas City player in that he is very patient at the plate and will draw walks, and he has a high on-base percentage, and he doesn't strike out, which that's very Royal there, not striking out, which is unroyal is drawing walks. So we'll see what happens with Nicky Lopez going forward. He has batted 2nd the last couple nights, and that's pushed Mondesi down to 3rd. Gordon's batting 4th. Mondesi and Gordon both still hitting well. Merrifield again, he's hitting, and Solaire's been on an extreme hot streak. The one thing that I'm not gonna say I don't like, but it's a little questionable to me is that when they talk about Nicky Lopez extending the lineup, and you're taking basically to the point where Chris Owings doesn't have to play. Well, Chris Owings hadn't been playing a whole lot recently. He's especially ever since Gutierrez came up. The problem I have with the statement that Lopez lengthens the lineup is that you're taking at-bats away from Gutierrez or O'Hearn. Both of these guys have been... Gutierrez has hit very well since he has come up from the minors. And he's trailed off a little bit, but he's been opportunist. When runners on 3rd base and less than 2 outs, he's hit several sacrifice flies. And that's something that can't be discounted. I think that one of the things that what Ned looks at, Ned has always had an appreciation for veteran guys. And I think we saw that last year with Duda and Jay, and I think what the Royals plan on doing now going forward, I think they are committed. I don't think you'll see Lucas Duda come back. And I'm sorry if I'm a little scatterbrained here. I'm going through a school zone, and there's a cop, like, literally riding my bumper. I mean, I'm going like 23 miles an hour through a 25 mile per hour zone, and he is riding my bumper like I got a bunch of crap on my bumper and he's a fly. And he's just got to eat all that crap up. I think he's waiting for me to go 1 mile per hour over. I'm out of the school zone now. I think he's waiting for me to go 1 mile per hour over. It's this same cop. It's the same cop I got a ticket from for going 40 and a 35 a couple months ago. And I can tell because I can see him straight through my window. Yeah, he's just waiting for me to make some kind of a minor traffic deal, and we'll see what you do, buddy, when I pull into my work where you're not allowed to pull into the parking lot. Because what in the world is going on here? Well, this video just went all to heck. I can't see because this truck is turning. We're good there. No, he's still following me. So the Royals video's over. I've completely lost my train of thought. Now I'm just watching to see what this police officer's going to do. Get right up on my bumper again. What is he doing? I am not doing anything wrong. He is riding my bumper like crazy. Oh, now he's turning. Okay. Oh, that's because we're changing cities here. We're going out of his precinct. I was in Grandview, and I switched over to Kansas City, and he turns right before the sign. Yeah. It's interesting. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's absolutely ridiculous. So the one thing about Lopez lengthening the lineup, Gutierrez and O'Hearn basically are going to be taken out of the lineup because Billy Hamilton's going to play center field. I was discussing this with a couple of my coworkers yesterday, saying, if they really wanted to lengthen the lineup, they'd put Gordon or Merrifield in center, and they're both like, no, you can't do that. Well, I mean, you could. I mean, Billy Hamilton, well, he's a very good defensive center fielder. I think the trade-off you get, if you put one of those other two guys in center, I think it's worth it, in my opinion, to get a better bat in the lineup. And then all you'd have really is Maldonado as a guy in the lineup who... Shut everything off here. Then you'd only have Maldonado as a guy in the lineup who is really not a very good hitter, but the Royals signed him just to kind of be a defensive catcher, which he's not been that great at that either. His defensive WAR number is really high. I think it's like second highest in all of baseball, which I've always struggled with the WAR stat, because I just, it's comparing a player to a player that doesn't exist. And who decides what the baseline is? Is it writers, baseball writers? Is it Baseball Prospectus? Is it ESPN? Is it some no-name guy in his basement who has 10,000 followers on Twitter? I have no idea. But what I do know is what I see with my own eyes, and I see that Maldonado has an extraordinarily high number of passed balls so far, I think he's got like 5 or 6 pass balls so far in the first 6 weeks. And, I mean, I haven't noticed anything that great. And the pitching has not been good, especially the starting pitching, which is, everyone says, well, he's here to stabilize the young starting pitching. I don't understand that, because it's not stabilizing the starting pitching, and he hits very poorly. So if it was me, I would just get Valoria up here and let him play. I mean, Cam Gallagher is never going to be a good starter. He's a backup guy. But I would just put Valoria in there and just let him go. And then if he turns out to be a terrible player, well, Salvi's back next year. But if he's great, I don't know. Maybe you look at moving Salvi? I don't know. I'd hate to say that. Salvi is the Royals Hall of Famer someday. Possibly a baseball Hall of Famer. Maybe not now. He really needed full seasons up until like late 30s to get the counting statistics to get there. But losing this year is going to really hurt his chances, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. Back to real quick about Lopez. I think the Royals honestly should send Lopez down to the minors. Let him work on his mechanics, work on something. Something's not working. He's just not pitching effectively. He's not striking guys out. And let's give another audition to somebody. And I would love to see the Royals by July, August. Maybe one of those draft picks we got last year can come up and starting for the Royals. They're definitely going to be there next year. I really do. If they're not, the Royals are wasting time, because they need to get these guys up here and acclimated to Major League Baseball hitting before it's too late. And then you're trying to compete, and these guys are trying to learn at the Major League level. They need to get up here quickly. And I don't care about service time. I don't care about anything like that. If you bring them up now, anytime this year now, you're buying a year of service time anyway. So you might as well bring them up now and see what you got in them. There's plenty of guys that you can DFA on the 40-man. So that's my video here today. Everybody have a nice day. Go Royals.